Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Am I the A-hole for digging into my brother's girlfriend's past and telling him the results? And a shout to Roberto for sending over this story. And guys, this story is definitely a doozy, for lack of a better term. This story is actually written from an older sister of a guy who, thank the Lord, she cares enough to do some digging into his girlfriend's life. You see, this is one of the crazier stories I've heard in a long time about a girlfriend, completely fabricating and making up all these elements about her life to her boyfriend. I mean, in the beginning, this family thinks, oh, she's sweet and nice, and she's good for my brother because he's had some problems in life. But then it gets to the point that there's so many crazy stories she has about herself, her life. This sister here finally, thank God, starts doing some digging and finds out it's complete BS. And I thought it'd be a good one to go over here, guys, to make the point. You got to do your homework on people that you get serious with. And you know what? Frankly, you owe it to your family members you care about, to do the same thing about someone they're involved with. Particularly, it seems like someone they're going to get very serious with if things seem really off. And in here, and by the way, there's going to be the blame about BPD, borderline personality disorder. And I'd like to know at the end what you guys think, whether she truly is BPD, like she seriously has a mental issue, or she's just a big giant liar that likes messing with people. And I'll let you wait to the end and you guys can comment away about that. But it is a crazy one. And definitely, and by the way, obviously, this sister helps this guy to ultimately handle things right with her down the road. So it starts off saying, my younger brother Adam had a rough childhood, to say the least. Our father passed away when he was under 10 years old from cancer. Our mother is likely bipolar, but definitely narcissistic tendencies and abusive. Remember that part, guys. A lot of people, really, there's a connection with guys marrying their mothers and choosing women that have behaved like their mothers. Ding, ding, ding. Narcissistic tendencies and other things. I'm older by a decade and did what I could when I could for him, but basically I failed to protect him and didn't understand what he needed. All that to say that his descent into alcoholism was not a surprise. It was expected. A couple years ago, he had an incident that caused him to be hospitalized and began his recovery and sobriety. Translation, he probably got into a car accident and was drinking and driving. I don't know this, but not good. He's over 2 years clean now, hugely due to the new relationship he started months after his incident with a kind-hearted, lovely woman. I'll call her Eve. Eve, huh? Interesting name she chose. He brought Eve over to meet us shortly after we met, and she's been a welcome part of our family. She makes gifts for my kids and treats. She's always fun to speak to, and her quirkiness fits in beautifully. As we got to know her, we learned about how traumatic her life has been. They're kind of trauma bonded, but she's so understanding and empathetic. She told us about her twin who passed away in high school, how her siblings and parents loved him more and treat her badly as a survivor that was always less than. Okay, here we go with all these things here that Eve was sharing with them. They pile up. She also had another brother who passed away in the war in Iraq. That was the golden child after her twin passed. Oh, here we go. So 2 kids that aren't there anymore, and woe is her. She couldn't seem to gain her mother's approval or attention, and we bonded over those feelings of not being wanted or good enough for our parents. She told us she was originally from Scotland. Her father was a sheep farmer who moved to America to buy a cattle farm because of the cowboy movies, so she has dual citizenship. Man, these stories are piling up here. So does she have any bit of an accent whatsoever, claiming that she's from Scotland? Now, I have a friend whose kid was born in Ireland, and they came back to the States after a few years, and he doesn't sound Irish, but I wonder how long she was over there. After a while, you're going to pick it up. She also said because of this, she spoke, wait for it, 16 languages. Who is she, C-3PO? 16 languages, really? Okay, let's hear some. She also said because of this, she spoke 16 languages. She worked at a college and had multiple degrees too. Oh, multiple degrees too. Overall, she was incredibly nice, took good care of Adam, and seemed super well educated and proper. Sometimes she had her Scottish accent too, because she'd be around her family. You mean she can bring it on and take it off whenever she wanted to, the accent? Then she started to tell us about her past relationships. 3 divorces. I mean, it's possible, but with all this other stuff, One was from a person who had a gender reassignment surgery, and the other passed away by his own hands, and the last had attempted to take her life, shot her, and then had run from the cops to the ditch where he passed away. She showed me and the kids the scar. So, I would imagine a bunch of you guys at this point, your BS detector is going off like crazy. So is mine reading this. I felt like after 2 years of knowing her that she was a great fit. So last week when they had a bad argument, I tried to reassure Adam. Great fit. This chick is nothing but problems. I mean, good God, drama just surrounds her. Now, certainly some people, it's not their fault, the families that grew up in and things that happened to them, but there's a point. And let's go back to the 3 degrees, 16 languages, and all these other things. I had him come over and talk, and he told me that she had lied to him about not speaking to a friend of hers anymore. Some guy who was apparently a popular guy in high school. She lied because she didn't want to believe he wasn't a good guy because she had always had so much bad luck with men. Adam was struggling to move past the lying, but wanted to work it out, and I support him in whatever he does. So some lies are coming about, huh? Well, I talked to my husband about it, and he asked me the most basic question. How does she have a high school popular kid here in town if she was raised in Oklahoma on a cattle farm? Honestly, I have PTSD, so my brain sometimes gets mixed up. I assumed I was wrong. It turned over and over my head for a while, for a couple days, and I finally, while my husband played video games, and began a casual search into her. Okay, so finally things aren't adding up here. It's time to do some digging, some recon here. And this only proves why every guy and every guy's family should be doing research on who they get involved with. Well, I Googled her name and her address came up. Then I realized her history of addresses were all in America, all going back pretty far. So I checked her parents, and their addresses went back to America before she was born. I was so confused, I Googled them and found recent obituaries of her grandparents on both sides. They're all from America, and they only mention 3 kids by her parents ever. All from America. What happened to Scotland? Obituaries usually list preceded in death, and these do, but no grandkids in that list. No additional brothers of hers. Not only that, but she lived in the same address her whole life in Kansas. Kansas? What happened to the sheep farm in Oklahoma? I looked it up on a map and found the high school nearby and searched the yearbook. I found her in 12th grade, no twin. Okay, but he passed away, so I checked 9th grade, also no twin. The deeper I dug, the more proof of the lies. Okay, now there's no twin right? Guys, this whole thing is that she's assuming she is BPD, like I said in the beginning, a borderline personality disorder. These are all calculated lies, okay? And you're going to see more as I get into this. Only 2 marriages on record, both still alive. One did change names from male in the marriage to female in the divorce, but that seems to be the only true thing she's ever said. It absolutely is shocking. Finally, my husband said I had to tell Adam. I was against it, and then the pile got larger. I said it was an in-person conversation, and he insisted it needed to be done, so I put it all together in a document and messaged Adam. You bet your ass she has to tell him. Come on here. I asked a few clarifying questions about the twin and the 3 ex-husbands. I apologized and provided the information to him and hoped I was wrong. Within 10 minutes of sending it to him, he said that she admitted everything to him. Wow, that's kind of shocking. You would imagine that she would be trying to lie through her teeth. He's absolutely lost right now. 2 whole years and so many, many, many lies. I'm just baffled. Why? Like if they ever got married, it would have unraveled so quickly. As a stand, she's been able to keep him away from her family by allowing them to disrespect their age gap. He's noticeably younger than her. She refused to go to an uncle's funeral earlier this year because she claimed he was a predator. Oh God, here we go. I hate questioning that, but maybe she just didn't want Adam to find out that her uncle was born and raised in Kansas, not Scotland, and so was her dad. So she was here with my kids, having them feel the bullet wound scar from an incident that never happened. There's no criminal records for either of her exes. There's none for her either, thankfully, but good lord. I wish I could put the cat back in the bag on this one. Why lie? And why I didn't check her background sooner. I literally checked the kids' play dates in school to make sure their parents aren't on the registry or anything like that. I should have checked her much sooner. Now the life and my family they were building is in ruins, and I'm terrified of him losing his sobriety. I'm feeling really guilty for looking it all up and telling him too. Not sure if I did the right thing because he's heartbroken. Am I the a-hole? No, you're a good sister. I think all families nowadays should be doing this for their loved ones because, when guys get so infatuated and so-called in love with their girl, they don't want to think anything can be possibly wrong with her and she can be lying about anything. Now, is it going to happen to this extreme? No, but holy crap. And we're not done yet as I get into the second part of this whole thing. No, she's a good sister. And she mentions that, there's a big age gap between her and her brother here, and he had a very bad childhood, and the mom's an a-hole, and she felt she should have protected him. Well, if she couldn't protect him as much when she was younger, she can protect him now. And he absolutely has a right to know. So good for her, Now on to the update. And by the way, this original post was over a month ago, and now this update here was just a couple days ago. She says here, to catch up, brother's girlfriend of 2 years is lying about her past from the traumatic blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm going to skip this part because she's recapping a lot. Let's see here. She's going into this whole thing. She said, my brother, who I call Adam for this, is a recovering alcoholic with a huge heart. He was absolutely determined to stay with her and not toss her aside for being human. He thought this was the righteous and noble thing to do, to not discard someone who's struggling or damaged in their time of need. Okay, that's why Adam was with her. They were trauma bonding. My husband and I were determined to support him regardless of his choice because we love him. She told him that she could never be around us again and she was scared of us. There we go. Oh, they did research on her, proved that she was a liar, and now they're scared of her. We assured him that we would never be rude to anyone he dated and that we were more than capable of being around her. I generally think when she realized that we weren't going to let her isolate him by pretending like she had reason to fear us, it was over for her. It lasted only a week after a dinner with him where we showed him unconditional support and reminded him that he was the victim repeatedly. You're darn right he's the victim here. I mean, the whole BPD thing, she was calculating a lot of this stuff and what she was saying. Well, the following week, she went out with friends to a bar. He asked where she went with and who, and this whole thing started because she was lying about not hanging out with some jerk that didn't respect my brother or the relationship. She said that she didn't have to show Adam anything to prove where she had been, that she can't heal like this. He's staying with her, which is absolutely stupid, in spite of all her lies she was telling, and he has a right to question some things, and now he's the bad guy here? Oh yeah, smacked Adam for staying with her in spite of all this. She expected to play the victim to him, as if him asking for accountability and transparency was him being controlling. Of course, that's how he was being labeled as controlling. Then he said that he can't be in a relationship where he can't trust someone. She was clearly hiding who she was with and where she was. In response, she gave him 30 days to move out. After all that, I'd be out of there that day. So this weekend, we are moving him into his own place. He is, of course, still reeling from the whiplash of whatever the heck the last 2 years of lies have been with this woman he thought he would marry. He has a strong support system, though, and he's absolutely going to get through this. He's even quitting smoking during this, which I could not imagine trying to do in this level of chaos, but he is determined. Thank you to everyone for the advice and support. Please don't be gullible like we were, and if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You're darn right. Now, I'm not done yet, guys, because in the comment section, she responds to lots and lots of questions, as you can imagine. And I could probably do 20 minutes of her responses, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just read a few that really hit home, proving in my mind that this was not BPD. This woman was absolutely calculating all the lies she made. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking, going back to the 16 language things, well, she had prepared for that in case anybody questioned. I kid you not. But anyhow, guys, the theme of this whole story is you got to do your homework on people. And frankly, if you have a sibling or good friend that is with someone and things seem off, a lot of these things are just too good to be true or too crazy to be true, do your homework. They may not like it. It could be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But you know what? If you really care about someone, you're going to help them out. And right here, she saved her brother. Holy crap. And frankly, it's kind of amazing he's handling it so well, not getting back on the booze and everything because he lost his trust in her. Now listen to some of the things she reveals. This is pretty interesting. In response to a question or comment somebody had, she says here, well, she claimed to be a dual citizen with Scotland, so that she said that all the languages from that area, as well as obscure ones. The ones I remember were Scottish, Gaelic, German. Obviously not Spanish, because we would have immediately caught that lie. She must have memorized phrases in each language, because when asked, she would recite some things that sounded like they were appropriate. It was just like some random factoid she'd say, and the kids would ask her to say a cuss word or something like that, and we'd move on with the conversation. I never got a complete list, but I absolutely should have asked for it. Hear that? Because a lot of people were asking about the languages. She just memorized some curse words and some phrases in those different languages, and so upon asked, boom, she's got it right there. Now imagine if they ran into somebody that was from Germany or someplace else. That would have been a pretty funny thing. So that was all prepared. That's calculating. So she obviously gets off on this. Another one, and this is longer. The sister says, yes, we did believe it all. My life has been somewhat tumultuous, and there have been people who didn't believe me because the amount of craziness and trauma in it seems made up. My brother lost his father at 9 years old from cancer. He was my stepdad who raised me. My brother's best friend and him are trauma bonded because he lost his mom at a young age. My brother tends to attract people with loss, so her losses made sense as to why they bonded. That happens. I mean, it's interesting how people can attract others into their lives. And I'm not just talking relationships. I'm talking about friendships, you know. Our mother is a narcissist and that I'm estranged from, and he still talks to. She raised us to be the perfect targets of ill behavior because we weren't taught what normal behavior is. Although I've had enough therapy, I thought I was better at spotting it. We have a couple of siblings that have been to jail and are probably undiagnosed BPD or something else. So back to the beginning when I said she talked about the mother, narcissist, and all these other things like that. This guy got involved with a woman who sounds a lot like his mother. Isn't that amazing? But this is why when children are raised in environments of very miserable, unhappy marriages, or the parents are wackos, or one of them's a wacko, and the parents don't want to break up the family, so they stay together, and there's all this turmoil and everything, the kids are going to think that's normal, and they're going to end up in relationships like that one day. It happens all the time. Right here fucking proves it. So for all you out there that are in bad marriages, and you've tried everything, and it's unhappy, and there's no love, and there's fighting all that, and you're only sticking around for the kids, I'm telling you right now, whether the kids realize it or not, they are being conditioned to think that's normal, and you don't want your kids to be in a bad marriage like yours, so keep that in mind when you think you're going to stick it out for another 10 years for the kids. They can end up just like you. Anyhow, she also says, as an example of our life stories, we lost an aunt to a drunk driver after a long coma, lost our great-grandma to SI. Her father had done the same. I've had a miscarriage past the first trimester, have a narcissistic ex-husband who is abusive, had to have a restraining order against him and no contact order for my kid. I've been assaulted twice. Most recent one, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I've had 5 years of therapy following it. DBT, EMDR, CBT, and group therapy. We have enough trauma in our lives that her trauma didn't seem impossible. It just made me feel like, damn, I met someone with a rougher life than I've had. Mine's not so bad. So, anybody thinking what I'm thinking here, this chick writing this story may actually be the same girl? Wouldn't it be interesting if the girl she's writing about is actually this girl who's telling the story? There's a lot of shit going on in her life. And I've noticed that people that have problems in their families, it is like a ripple effect in their lives because that's what they started and what they're used to. I know that reading the lies reading the lies she said must seem fantastical, but we learned these different stories over the course of 2 years, while sharing our lives with her. At the same time, it seemed genuine. When she claimed to have been had bad things happen to her physically, she literally played the part well enough that as a victim of assault, I believed her. She suddenly had long sleeves in the summertime and kept tugging at her clothes. Her eyes darted around the room, and she seemed like she couldn't breathe or get comfortable, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. The level of pretend this lady played was fit for Broadway. See right there, that's not just assuming different personalities or whatever you want to call it, this is well played out. She just likes fucking with people. I'm not generally a gullible person. She's been doing this so long, it's a craft, and she's absolutely had me fooled, as well as everybody she met when with us. I don't blame us for believing her necessarily, and I know this is an extreme example of lying. Yes, we'll be more skeptical about people moving forward, but this is so not normal, I highly doubt we will ever meet someone that lies like this again. There you go. Like I said, guys, I could do 20 more minutes of comments that she has about this whole situation. It's nuts. And this is why I did this video, because I've heard a lot of lies and things like that people talk about, but this goes to a whole new level here. So the moral and the theme of the whole story is really watch out, guys, who you get involved with. And things seem off, like it's just too much or too good to be true, or in this case, too bad to be true. Do your homework. Or if you have a family member you care about, do some digging on that. You know, your brother or your cousin may not like that you're doing that, but you're trying to help them. But there are people that are just screwed up. Either screwed up because it's not their fault, like they got some issue, mental issue, or they just like messing with people, and they're compulsive liars, and like this. Anyhow, that'd be an entertaining one to go over here. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.